Hello, welcome. I'm going to be continuing on with my Let's Play of the Divine Speaker extended demo. For this one, we'll be picking up where the original demo left off. There's some absolute cuteness happening at the moment. I'm pretty sure they just got married. So let's get back into it. I ate the last of the red berries while I got dressed, the sweet taste lingering on my tongue for a while afterwards. I spent the day wandering around the forest while Fawn gave me the lay of the land. He showed me a few landmarks I could use to get back to his house if I ever got lost. I quickly learnt which berries were safe to pick and which could be poisonous from just you touching them. He said there's a lot of deadly plants around, so it's best if I asked if I'm not sure. It was like he knew everything. I suppose when you only have yourself to depend on, you have to be a walking encyclopedia. His eyes lit up as he explained topic after topic. It was obvious he really enjoyed having someone to talk to. It's actually a little sad that he's been alone all these years.
Oh, I kind of forgot about it before, but do you ever cook anything? I notice you've only eaten vegetables and fruits.
Cook anything?
Yeah, like on a stove. Or maybe you just use a fire. I'm actually pretty good at cooking.
No, I don't usually. Fire is... No, I usually just eat fresh food.
Huh, I see. Well, I'd love the chance to cook for you at some point.
The sun was high overhead, swimming in the vast blue sky. There wasn't a cloud in sight, yet it still felt cool as a soft breeze washed over us. We've spent the day so far wandering from place to place, exploring and talking. Aurelia Cavella felt so long ago already. Honestly, it was fun. My chest felt lighter for the first time in days. Just like hanging out with a friend. It felt normal. Slowly, with all the time in the world, we'd been collecting items from the riverbank we'd met at just yesterday. Yeah, it's only been like 2 days. Has it even? Yeah, 2 days. A worn blanket, slightly damp, but Fawn assures me it's still usable. I mean, it'll dry. A vase, the handle of a door. That's useful.
Where does all this stuff come from, anyway?
I glanced towards Fawn, who was struggling with the mountain of random objects in his arms. He'd drop something, go to pick it up, then drop 5 more things in the process. Oh, help him.
Give me some of those.
Oh good, he's going to help him.
Thank you.
Just stare at him struggle.
As for where it all comes from...
He looked out into the distance, quiet for a moment.
I think this river connects to a large town, not far from here. I guess they must dump things into the river, and they come downstream and get caught on the banks.
That's just pollution.
Giving them another use is better than letting them sit here. It makes me sad to see the wilderness so full of trash.
Well, we do have a river running through town. I've never seen anyone dump anything in it, though.
There's just so much here. It's hard to believe it was all just dumped.
It could be a different town. I've never been there, so I'm not sure.
There he goes again.
What do you mean? It could only be Aurelia Cavella.
But there's a few other places nearby, too.
Are you sure you aren't a little confused?
I think you're the one that's confused, Rain. You didn't think you could be out here and survive. You didn't think there would be anyone living out there. Maybe other things are wrong, too.
Where else would there be? It's just the forest. I don't think there would be a lot of others like you living out here.
But that's not...
Before Fawn could respond, we heard a low growl come from the bushes to the left of us. I didn't even have time to think. Neither of us had the chance to react before an animal bounded out of the grass straight towards us.
Watch out!
I braced myself for impact, but it never came. Instead, I was shoved and fell to the ground. Oh, what is this? Rain trips over number 5? From the ground, I finally got a good look at the thing that was slowly circling around Fawn. It was small and grey, teeth bared in a snarl. Oh, look at this face on Fawn. He is not impressed. A wolf. A wolf. A lone wolf. It must be young by the size of it. Its dark eyes were set on Fawn, unmoving. Before it could get to me, Fawn pushed me away and took my place. What's he thinking? This is dangerous. Fawn stared back at the furious animal, not backing down. He slowly took small steps away from the animal, careful not to show his back.
Rain, just get up slowly and sneak away. I'll deal with this.
It's a very cute little wolf, isn't it? Look at it. I love Fawn's outfit. The hesitation was gone from his voice. The jittery, nervous Fawn I'd gotten used to was nowhere in sight.
Leave! We aren't scared of you!
In large motions, he waved his arms as he shouted. He was either trying to scare it away or distracted enough for me to get away.
Rain, quickly!
I love Fawn when he gets commanding. Fawn gets shit done. His voice was quiet but powerful, commanding. Making sure not to make any sudden movements, I crept up from my place on the rocky ground, shuffling away from both Fawn and the wolf. My heart was beating 1,000,000 times a second. I could hear the pounding in my ears and feel it through my whole body. Please, lords, let them not hear it too. Fawn glanced at me out of the corner of his eye, still not turning away from the wolf.
Go back to the house. I'll leave after you.
I can't leave you here! You could...
It both started and was over in the blink of an eye. The wolf jumped straight at Fawn's face. Swiftly, he raised an arm to shield himself and ducked to the ground. When the wolf was directly over his head, he lifted an arm just enough to touch it and threw it into the river. The wolf crashed into the water, splashing about and whining loudly.
Quick, now!
We both picked up a pace, running away from the river as fast as possible. Fawn grabbed my arm and pulled me along in a vice-like grip. Behind us, all we could hear was furious splashing.
I thought we were meant to go slowly!
There's no time. Just go!
Fawn nearly pushed me up the rope, hurrying me into his house. As soon as he reached the top, he pulled it up after us. I collapsed on the floor in a heap, panting. Fawn did the same.
What just happened?
That music in that scene, though, was incredible. I love the music of this game.
I don't know. They've never been aggressive towards me before. We're friends. Or at least, I thought we were. He usually listens to me. I feed him when I can.
My breathing may have nearly returned to normal, but my heartbeat was nowhere close. I looked over towards Fawn. Something red was dripping down onto the wooden floor.
What? You're hurt!
With a downcast expression, he rolled up his sleeves and examined his arm. Long red lines of blood dripping down and splattering against the floorboards, standing out as clear as day. He hid it behind his back, like a child with something they shouldn't have.
We have to bandage it or something.
I know a little bit of first aid. Enough to help look after the kids at home, but Is it enough for this? He had piles and piles of random bits of cloth around the room, but every time I tried to pick one up...
Wait, not that one. I just found that the other day.
Fine. If you really won't let me bandage it, then at least let me look at your arm.
I didn't wait for his objections. He turned his arm to face me. I think the blood made it look a lot worse than it was, but it still looked quite painful. I reached out to take hold of it.
You could have been killed. You need to be more...
Lies. You have been lied to. Protect him. Destiny, open your arms. Take his pain.
It's disjointed. So what is she actually saying? Is it take his pain? Or is there something in between it? Before it, after it? What is she trying to tell him? Who is she? Who is this? Who is talking to him? The voices in his head are mysterious and suspicious. Who is it? Where am I? A loud voice boomed through my ears. I couldn't see anything. It's just me, the darkness, and that voice. In the distance, I could see a light, bright like the sun on an early summer's day. I reached out towards it, my fingertips barely brushing against the cool radiance.
Rain, what's wrong?
When I opened my eyes, I hadn't moved after all. I was still in Fawn's house, holding onto his arm. As soon as my fingertips touched Fawn, my vision went black. What just happened? The darkness was gone, and so was the voice. Everything was back to normal. Before I could open my mouth, a bright light flashed out between Fawn's arm and my hand. The pain started in my fingertips and traveled upwards all through my arm. An agonizing, burning pain, not unlike that day. Before my eyes, the wound on Fawn's arm stitched back together until all that was left was a line of dried blood.
Huh?
Huh? And my arm began to ache in response. When I rolled up my sleeve to look, my jaw nearly hit the floor.
What is this?
An arm. It hurts. Blood started to run down my arm and drip onto Fawn's wooden floor, just like it did to his. Just like his did only a moment ago. It really hurt. Is this what Fawn felt? The same gash that was on Fawn's arm is now on mine. I locked eyes with Fawn. He looked just as confused as I did.
Huh? What did you just do?
That wasn't you?
He shook his head lightly, eyes wide. My mouth hung open in shock. I have absolutely no clue what just happened.
I don't know. I've never... This has never happened before. It's like
you healed me. But now you have it instead.
That's a shitty power. You can heal, but you hurt yourself. No, thank you.
So I guess it's more like you took on my injury in my stead?
What? Just then?
Everything you do in life has an equal reaction and consequence. So...
Ouch! You didn't tell me it hurt this much.
He really was hiding how painful this is.
When I touched you, I heard the same voices that have been in my dreams lately. But this time, they were clearer. They told me it was my job to protect you. That I'd been lied to. Something about destiny. But my destiny...
I thought back on the judgment I received 18 years ago. The fate that's controlled my whole life up until now, and will continue to do so for the rest of my life. The judgment that I was reminded of at every opportunity. Even if I succeeded, I was pushed back down. After all, what could a boy with a useless judgment do in life? It's not something I want to talk about. Not yet.
The judgment I was given when I was born, it was nothing like this. What could this even mean?
Fawn stopped again, thinking.
But destiny is what you make of it, right? If you just live your life to what someone told you so long ago, you'll never get anywhere. It's not like you don't have the power to change it.
The destinies we receive are never wrong, though.
The destinies you receive are never wrong, because by following them, you make them come true. They're a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you deviated from them, they would be false. But if you follow them and make yourself exactly what your destiny has told you you will be, then that prophecy is then true. Oops, wrong button.
The speaker is never wrong.
Is that right? I looked down at the cut on my arm again. My destiny couldn't be wrong. I suddenly remembered the morning I woke up in the forest. The flowers that hadn't been there the night before. Did I have something to do with that? Does he make flowers grow? Surely not. That seems weird. Maybe Fawn is onto something. Or maybe not. I don't know. Oh, he was so close. Fawn is onto something. Fawn is into something too. Despite his temperament, Fawn really has a way with words. I think I almost believe in what he's saying.
I guess I better bandage this after all.
Yeah. Let me help you.
Even though he refused a moment ago, he quickly wrapped up my arm, not missing a beat. No matter how close I looked at my wound, it didn't go anywhere. It really was there. That really just happened. This could be an amazing gift, but I couldn't help think about how dangerous it could be too. Yeah. Heal someone but hurt yourself? And how come this has never happened before? How could something like this happen out of nowhere? What triggered it?
Oh, Fawn?
Maybe the mysterious new markings on your arm triggered it. That could be it. He jumped, surprised when I called out to him suddenly.
You were really cool back there, though. I really felt like I could depend on you.
His face flared up again, as red as a rose.
Who knew you could be so dashing?
After everything that happened, it was finally starting to get dark out. The sun was setting over the horizon, leaving the forest cold and quiet.
Actually, there's one other place I'd like to show you today.
Is that a good idea? Do you think the wolf is gone?
Yeah. We'll be going the opposite direction, so... I wasn't actually going to show you this, in case it frightened you. But I feel like I should. It's the right thing to do.
Mysterious? Where are you going? We finished wrapping my injury in a makeshift bandages, and I pulled my sleeve down. What does he mean? In case it frightened me.
What is it?
Well, it's kind of hard to explain, but I think you've already seen the effects of it. If your arm isn't hurting too badly, will you come with me? I know how much it hurt, so you don't have to force yourself.
He doesn't usually look so serious. And his words are making me a little nervous. Especially after what happened earlier. But I guess after his performance before, I feel like I can depend on him if anything goes wrong. Plus, I've got to show him that I can protect him too.
Yeah, sure.
I followed Fawn down the ladder and through the growing darkness. Redhead man. He was both confrontational and rude. This time, we walked for what felt like forever. On and on, everything looked the same, as if we were going in circles. My arm throbbed with every step, but there wasn't much I could do now. I just had to suck it up. It was already pitch black out there. I hope Fawn knows his way. I watched Fawn's back while I walked. What the? He had slim shoulders and a small figure, but he still looked fit. Maybe even more than me. He's probably strong too. He just fought off a wolf by picking it up mid-air and throwing it into a river. I think he's pretty strong. He also lives in a treehouse, so he'd be going up and down ladders every day. Muscular, but so slim. Also, you can see his abs. Look, they're right there, Rain. And he's mid-drift. I guess living out here, he would have to be pretty in shape. I wonder how long he's been here. And why? It isn't my place. His short hair was messy from running earlier. Well, messier than it usually was. Which is saying something, since it's usually pretty wild anyway. At least he's not injured anymore. I felt at my arm. Just to confirm the bandage was actually there. Yeah, it was. It really happened. I pulled up my sleeve enough to glance at my other arm. The markings still stood against my skin as much as the day they appeared. These markings, those dreams, Fawn's injury. What connects them? Is it all just one big coincidence? No matter how much I turn these thoughts around in my head, it wasn't not getting anywhere.
Whoa.
Absorbed in my thoughts, I bumped straight into Fawn when he suddenly stops in his tracks.
Shh. Look.
I peer out over his shoulder. My body instantly stiffens up.
What is that?
The forest in front of us was filled with some kind of blue, glowing mist that gently swayed back and forth and to an unseen rhythm. The color was unnatural yet beautiful. In a haze, I could almost see faces. Blue, lifeless faces. One second they were there, and the next there was nothing. As if my mind was playing tricks on me.
The forest spirits. They're angry.
I listened closely to him, my breath stuck in my throat. We stood a distance from the mist and peered out from behind the trees.
They didn't originally come from here. The town to the west of here. The one that you're so sure is your home. Every once in a while, they dump things out here. Most of the time, you wouldn't be able to tell what they are. But sometimes, they're still whole.
I gulped. A cold sweat ran down my back, and my hands shook. I tried to hide them from Fawn, who looked as calm as ever.
Things?
I think you already encountered it before. The arm you found before we met, they've always been here, since before I came. But they're angrier. More now than ever. It's like they're sticking around for some reason, but they don't really want to be here. I can't think of any reason for such a large amount of bodies to be piled up the way they are. Lately, the flowers haven't bloomed as early. The leaves have fallen from the trees much more quickly. Fruits and vegetables barely grow. The animals stay in my house for safety or hide far away. Something's going on.
The same thing that's happening in the city, yeah? The crops are failing?
Plus, that wolf from earlier. The forest seems angry, like it's lashing out at something that hurt it.
I thought back to home, to Aurelia Cavella.
They've been dumping bodies out here?
I couldn't watch them for even a second longer. They were terrifyingly beautiful, enough to make me feel ill. This can't be real. Surely if I just look away or close my eyes, they'll disappear.
But the speaker says that those that die get buried in Azeros, with the elders that live there.
Wait, so Azeros is old people and dead people? That's not morbid at all. Why would anyone want to go there? Wait, is this what they call Azeros? They just dumping all their dead people and their old people outside the wall? Is that why no one knows what Azeros is? Just dump them out there.
I don't know anything about that. But bodies definitely get dumped out here, and their spirits linger for some reason or another. I wasn't sure I should show you this. I wanted to show you beauty rather than scary things, but you deserved to know. If you want to stay here with me, then you would have found out eventually. It's better if you learn from me.
I held onto the back of Fawn's shirt tightly. There's nothing I could say.
Let's go back now, okay? Just don't come back here by yourself. I've never let myself be seen by them, and I wouldn't want you to find out what they'd do to you if they did.
So they're sentient? Well, I guess if the forest is angry and Oh, what? Was that always
Let's go back.
I just noticed that kind of shadowy figure in the back, and I hadn't seen it before, and then it kind of just spooked me.
I've never let myself be seen by them, and I wouldn't want you to find out what they'd do to you if they did.
I looked back at the hazy figures one more time. They floated back and forth, silently. It couldn't be true. None of it's true. Surely they've come from somewhere else, but where? Where else is there? The speaker wouldn't lie to us. My mind flickered back to his icy eyes, the way he stared me down, despite never speaking to me before.
Let's go.
The speaker has this very cold aloofness, like someone extremely high status, which he is, who's very out of touch and untouchable. He could be a nice person, but he's too high of a station to care. I'm very interested in where his story's gonna go. Because there's definitely something there. Like, the way he reacted to seeing Fawn alone. I don't know whether he's lying or whether he's telling the truth or whether he thinks he's telling the truth or something's off about the speaker for sure. Everything about him's not portrayed as the public seems to believe he is. He's very distant and cold. Whereas the people seem to think he's this shining warmth. So I'm very interested to see where that's gonna go. I kept a hold of Fawn's shirt as we turned to leave. Something deep inside of me told me not to turn back, but I glanced over my shoulder. Oh, that's a mistake. The figures had all stopped. They looked like they were staring right at me. Or was it right through me? My head whipped back around. I didn't turn back again. The journey back to Fawn's house was both chilling and uneventful. Even when I expected something to jump out and grab me from before dragging me back into the pitch black darkness, nothing came. I held onto Fawn's shirt the whole time, but he didn't seem to mind. So much for acting tough in front of him. My eyes darted around, desperate for something. Anything. No matter where I looked, I could feel those ghostly figures watching me. It's only my imagination, right? It's just the forest. We have an entry. Once we got back to Fawn's treehouse, I went up the ladder as fast as I could, and he quickly climbed up after me. All I wanted was for the comfort of the walls around me, even if they were in a tree. When I looked at him, his face seemed grim, his expression sullen.
I'm sorry.
I think someone's using power tools around me. Either downstairs or next door. It's so noisy today.
Would you have rathered I didn't show you? I don't know if it was a mistake or not. They've always been there, but they've never left that area. It's like they're stuck there. I don't think they can follow us here, so we're safe. I wouldn't let you be hurt, you know.
I'm really interested in what they actually are. Why can't they leave that area? What are they? What's going on in Aurelio Cavella? He looked away from me.
Don't worry, because I'll protect you.
Oh, baby boy. He spat out that line before turning around and pretending to be busy. He whirled back around, his face bright red.
What's so funny? I'm being serious.
I couldn't help it. Rather, I didn't want to help it. It felt good to break the tension.
No. I believe you.
It doesn't sound like it.
Oh, poor Fawn. Sometimes, Fawn really does seem full of youthful energy. What a brave guy. So dependable. He's still laughing. Actually, now that I think about it,
So, Fawn, I know you said you didn't know how long ago you came here, but do you know how old you are?
he stopped what he was doing for a moment. He stopped what he was doing to think for a moment. His face was still red as a tomato, though.
I should have turned around 20 this year, I think.
Whoa, no way! I can't believe I'm younger than you.
This whole time I thought he was the same age as me. His small frame doesn't help that.
Wait, how old are you?
It was my 18th birthday 2 days ago.
You got thrown out on your birthday?
Rip. He looked pretty upset.
Yeah, but like you said, there's always two sides to anything. I might have left my home, but I wouldn't have met you otherwise.
I smiled at him. I wasn't even really exaggerating. It's true. Bad things have happened, but Fawn's been the only reason I've survived out here, so I have to look on the bright side. Honestly, it feels like we've known each other for much longer than we actually have. It feels so natural to be this close to him. I wonder if it's because of his personality. It makes me want to trust him, to get to know him.
I mean...
He covered his bright face up with his hands, so I couldn't see him.
Sometimes you say the most romantic, corny things. It's embarrassing. How do you come up with these lines?
Romantic?
I thought the word over in my head. Romantic? Nope. I've definitely never heard it before.
What does that mean?
He uncovered his face and looked straight at me.
You know, like, kind of lovey-dovey, mushy,
Lovey-dovey?
you know, love?
Hmm?
What are this? What are this?
You can't be serious. It's what one person feels for another. And they get married, have kids, be in love, kiss.
Kissing comes kind of late
You
in that
know.
order. I'm assuming not in that order.
It's that feeling you get in your chest when you look at someone you want to spend your life with.
I've never heard of it.
Rip. Maybe this is some kind of forest lingo. Should I try to fit in? Speak like the locals.
Haven't you seen people in your village in love? With children?
At home. Of course we have children. The speaker usually just pairs people together. We don't get to pick who we end up with. Most of the time it's people of similar positions or class. Then they have children.
Honestly, being the speaker sounds exhausting. You've got to run the town, you've got to handle people's babies, you've got to matchmake them. Give the guy a break. This man needs a holiday.
But I've never heard of love or kissing or marriage.
You don't have love? Are you telling me it doesn't exist there?
Goes together like
How can that be
horse
true?
and
How could
carriage.
anyone survive without love?
Ooh! Lesson time! Can you teach me what kissing is? Marriage? What does that mean? Surely he'd know marriage. It doesn't sound important. This sounds like the interesting option. Can you tell me what kissing is? Lesson time!
What's kissing? Can you teach me?
No,
Poor Fawn.
that's way too embarrassing.
He wouldn't make eye contact with me. That made me all the more curious. I feel like I'm missing out on something.
Please? I've never heard of it before.
It's like
He pursed his lips together.
When you put your lips on someone else's lips, and then, like, move them around a little bit.
How do you describe kissing to someone other than you smash your faces together? You put your lips on someone else's lips. Then you move them around a little bit.
I've never kissed anyone before, so I'm not really sure either.
Well, someone's willing to try.
You put your lips together? Why would you want to do that?
Because it feels nice, I think.
Can we try it?
No!
Oh, there's such innocence there. Oh, Rain, you're such a good boy. So innocent. Poor Fawn is having an aneurysm right now. Before I can ask any more questions, he leapt into the bed, buried his face in the pillow.
I'm suddenly really tired. Good night.
Okay, thanks, bye. He seemed kind of embarrassed. Is love embarrassing? How come I've never heard of it? There's a lot you haven't heard of, friend. I laid down on my back next to Fawn, arms behind my head. Both arms? Isn't one still hurt? More and more questions. When am I going to get some answers?
Hey, Fawn?
No response. Either he's too embarrassed or he's already asleep. I quietly stripped down to my underwear. He's in his knickers a lot. I should think of a way to thank him properly. With my eyes closed, I went over everything that's happened in the last few days. This marking, that redhead man, the speaker.
You look just like your father did.
Oh. Okay. Did he know my father? How? Why? I too want to know these things. No matter how much I thought about it, no answer came to me. Instead, I slowly drifted off to sleep to the sound of Fawn's gentle breathing.
Wake up. Quickly. Spreading. Awaken.
Spreading awaken.
Wake up.
Get up. Rise and shine. Wakey, wakey, hands up snaky. I blinked open my eyes and turned my head to the side.
Oh, another strange dream.
Either they're getting less terrifying, or I'm slowly getting used to them. What a scary thought. If only I could understand what they were trying to tell me. Something's kind of uncomfortable. Oh, it's way too warm. I feel like I'm burning up. I tried to kick the sheets off my legs to find that Fawn had wrapped himself up in them, and I didn't have any. Why is it so hot then? He was still asleep, a small crease in his brow. I wonder what he's dreaming about. He must be tired after everything that happened yesterday. I reached out and brushed a few strands of hair off his face. They were stuck to his forehead, which was drenched in sweat. I glanced around the room. There was some kind of faint glowing shine through the floorboards. What? Surely it wasn't morning already. When I looked towards the doorway, the sky was still dark.
What's that noise?
Something's not right. I quickly slid out from beside Fawn and walked up to the door. My chest felt tight, and the air left my lungs.
No.
A wave of panic crept over me. The trees surrounding the house were engulfed in flame, and thick smoke billowed towards the sky. The moon and stars were hidden. Actually, It wasn't just the surrounding trees that were alight. Flames licked at the bottom of Fawn's wooden floorboards. It wouldn't be long until the whole thing was aflame. I love the sprite change for them to get dressed. It's like, meow. I grabbed my clothes as fast as I could. We have to get out of here quickly. Not just quickly, but now.
Fawn, get up, quick!
I shook him until his eyes opened.
There's a fire! We need to get out of here, now!
The heat was starting to make it difficult to breathe. If we wait much longer... I grabbed my things while Fawn scrambled out of bed.
No.
Fawn stood completely still, staring at the ground. He made no effort to quicken his pace.
Fawn, we have to go! Right now! Like now!
Listen, I didn't do it on purpose.
What?
I didn't mean...
What did he do? He was holding his head in his hands, staring at the ground. Even when I yelled at him to move, he stayed still. We have no time for this. I grabbed him by the hand and pulled him towards the door. He didn't resist, but he also didn't try to run with me, instead letting me drag him along. The rope to get down was already alight, so that was off the table.
Fawn, I want you to jump after me. Can you do that?
I looked over at him. He gave me a slight nod, but he wouldn't meet my eyes. Oh, no. I jumped first, barely clearing the flickering flames that were quickly covering the forest floor. Flickering flames! That's almost a tongue twister. Once I landed safely, I looked back towards Fawn. Arms outstretched without a second thought. But he didn't move.
Fawn, do you trust me?
He blinked a couple of times. He didn't say anything. He just jumped. I caught him in my arms and quickly set him down on the ground. We stood on the forest floor for a moment, still holding on to each other, and the reality of the situation started to sink in. I followed Fawn's gaze up towards his treehouse. All of his things! All of his river collectibles! Who could have done this? Oh, I hope none of his animals were in there too. He looked lost. He didn't make a sound, nor did he cry as the flames engulfed the entirety of his home. He just stared ahead, completely still. An unspoken sadness came from him, like his heart had broken into a million pieces.
Fawn, come on, please! We need to go! It isn't safe here!
There's two of them. Shouldn't it be only one? I didn't hear anything about two.
Is that a voice? My ears perked up at the sound of talking. Someone else is here. I couldn't work out which direction the voice was coming from through the crackling and popping of the flames. I tightened my grip on Fawn's arm. He's still just staring. The smoke was beginning to get thicker, and the longer we stood there, the harder it was to see. It's getting pretty difficult to breathe.
Where's our other guy?
I've lost visuals on him. Nothing good ever comes from working with the likes of him anyway.
Oh. Who? Rude. There's much more. There's more than one of them. This is bad. If I can't get Fawn to move now, we'll either be cooked alive or be found by whoever is looking for us.
Fawn, listen to me. I think whoever caused this fire is still here. We really have to go, now.
I didn't...
I grabbed his shoulder and turned him to face me.
Please, Fawn.
Oh, okay.
I gave his arms a little pull, and this time he followed behind me easily, but his eyes were empty. He didn't say another word. The falling embers were lighting the grass around us, on fire faster and faster. Every direction was getting completely engulfed. If we didn't get away quickly, thank the gods it wasn't windy. We had only made it a short distance before Fawn came to a halt.
What's wrong?
There, to the left.
The left? My eyes followed in the same direction. I could see two figures in the distance, approaching Fawn's house. It doesn't look like they've seen us yet. It seems like they're looking around the burning shrubs, searching. They must be looking for us. Fawn's house looked ready to collapse, and the fire still burned as strong, if not stronger than before. Yet they still searched. We need to be as far away from this as possible, right now. Risking their lives like that, are we that important to them?
Shouldn't you two be running?
That voice again. Who? Another voice, different from the ones I heard earlier, shot out between the sounds of crackling fire. That midriff! It's a suspicious redhead. While Fawn and I were preoccupied with watching the other two, we didn't notice another one coming from the right of the tree line. The third person came into view. He was close. Close enough that if I took a few steps forward, I'd be able to touch him. My first thought was for us to help, but a tug on my hand stopped me in my tracks.
Wait,
He's got a whip
his arm.
and a dagger, and you're gonna ask him for help.
Ah, you noticed.
The man chuckled faintly. In his hands, what is that? It looks like some kind of a rope. That's the least of our worries by the looks of it. In his other hand, he held a dagger. This is dangerous. I think we should...
You know, it was way too easy to follow you out here. You don't exactly try and cover up your tracks, do you? If I was in your shoes, that would be the first thing I'd do. Guess we can't all be as wise as me, though.
Oh. Follow? Fawn pulled at my hand again until I was standing directly behind him, placing himself between us.
When they told me I'd be tracking some guy out into the forest, I was a little worried. But you know what? The thrill of catching you here is worth it.
Chump! He took a step towards Fawn and I. I flinched. A cold shiver ran down my back, and I could feel myself covered in sweat. Have I heard that voice before? I searched desperately through the thick smoke. He was tall and slender, but most of his figure was obscured. Red hair? The only thing I could make out on his face was a sly grin. The teeth are so creepy. I could hear Fawn whispering to me, desperation in his voice.
Rain, we need to run the...
A loud creaking noise came from behind as the first part of Fawn's house began to crumble to the forest floor. The other two men were still at the base of the tree, but the debris just missed them. They continued their search, oblivious to what was happening over here. Oh, they're not very good, are they? Fawn tightened his grip on my hand. I wouldn't be surprised if it bruised later.
Fawn, I think that could be...
Oh!
Rain. Rain. Wake up.
That spooked me.
Safety. Find him.
Find
Go.
who?
Far from here.
Where am I? I'm on the ground. Why? The fire? That man? Fawn. Fawn!
Fawn!
Rain.
When I sat up, the whole world around me span. Fawn was sprawled out on the ground not far from me. I crawled over to him. He didn't look hurt, but he seemed pretty out of it.
Are you okay?
I'm okay. I just... what? Where am I? What just happened?
He seemed a little confused, but I couldn't blame him. I'm confused too. I just hope he didn't hit his head. I checked over his body. He has a few scrapes, but it doesn't look like he's bleeding. Phew. Slowly, I glanced back towards Fawn's house. Well, where it used to be, but now it's just a mountain of debris. What exactly just happened? It was falling, but then... all I remember is a loud bang.
I think it exploded. Did you have something explosive in there?
The ground and the trees around us were lightly charred, but the worst of the flame had now gone. Only embers were left sizzling on the ground. My throat felt hoarse from the smoke. I wish I had something to drink. Everything that Fawn had is gone. Everything he owned, collected, loved.
I'm so sorry.
What am I meant to do now? This is all my fault. I'm being punished.
It's not. Those people.
What's left for me now?
His question hung in the air, lingering. I didn't know what to say to him. What can you say to someone who has lost everything? Nothing. There's nothing I can do to make this better. That makes it even more painful.
My friends, where are they?
I'm sorry, Fawn. I wish I could do something.
Sitting here wasn't going to solve anything, though. I pushed myself onto my feet, swaying a little at first. The smoke definitely went to my head.
I'm going to see if anything survived the...
Do you think?
Fawn glanced up at me from where he was seated on the forest floor.
The other people? I don't know.
I'll come with you.
I held my hand out to Fawn and pulled him up beside me. This is just too awful. I looked sideways at Fawn, glad to have him by my side. I didn't know exactly what we'll find over there, and I'm worried about those strange men. Are they still nearby, or... We walked back towards the smouldering pile of wood where Fawn's house once stood. I could see Fawn's treasures littered about on the ground, most of it burnt to a crisp or barely recognizable. I crouched down to the floor and pushed through the ashes and rubble. I picked up a little wooden toy, untouched by the fire somehow. An animal. A small, sad smile came to his face when I held it out to him.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. I feel like if I wasn't here, none of this would have ever happened to you.
I can't handle this guilt. My chest feels heavy, like it's slowly consuming me. I'm the first person he's seen out here, and he showed me kindness when he didn't have to. Look what he's got in return. His whole life is ruined in one night. Everything he's built, everything he loves, all gone.
No, it's not your fault.
This music is just so beautiful.
I don't want you to blame yourself. This is because of me.
It's clearly not. You did nothing wrong. I don't know how much longer I can hold back my tears. We worked together to move some of the debris, until we finally made out some scraps of fabric, all melted to the lifeless bodies underneath them. As disgusting as it was, I couldn't look away. They were people too. Even if what happened to Fawn was probably their fault. Probably.
I guess...
Is there actually
they
a question
didn't
there?
survive.
The two men were half crushed underneath the rubble. They didn't stand a chance. I hope for their sake they died quickly when the tree collapsed rather than slowly in the flames. Ooh. That would have to be one of the worst ways to die. Fawn put his arm around my shoulders and turned me away from the gruesome scene.
Don't look anymore. It'll only make it worse.
You're right. Did you see the third one?
I'm not sure. Everything's so burnt.
He was standing so close to us. I could have almost touched him. He might have survived. If he's alive, is he still in the area? Or did he flee after seeing what happened to his companions? I don't know. I scanned the area. Nothing. Wait. I caught a glimpse of red between the greenery. Yeah, his hair isn't very subtle. He's clearly hired to do something. To trick Raen and go into the archives. Hunting him down in the forest. He's some kind of mercenary, maybe? I feel like his hair gives him away. It's like a beacon. What is that?
Wait, look over there.
I walked towards the vibrant color and pulled back the charred benches that stood in the way. My breath caught in my throat. Although, he's also gorgeous, and he can look however he wants and do however he wants, and I'm still going to be in love with him. Completely. Slumped up against a tree trunk was a man. Long flowing red hair, eyebrows furrowed in pain. Wasn't the first time I'd seen him either. A man that I bumped into only a few days ago. The one that told me about the speaker's archives. A man from Aurelia Cavella.
No way.
I heard a gasp from behind me. Neither of us expected to find him so easily.
Shit.
Thousands of questions swirled around in my head, but now isn't the time. He looked hurt. Slowly and quietly, I inched closer to him. From a distance, I could see he had some cuts and bruises, but they didn't look too bad. There were scars on his stomach and arms too, but they looked old. How did he get those? I wonder. I do want to know. Probably nothing good. I knelt down beside him. Right now, whatever he did or said doesn't matter. He just needs help. I started at his legs and worked my way up. No injuries here. The stomach seems fine, apart from a bruise or two. Look at that face. He's not happy. I looked back at his face. Eyes that were previously closed in pain now bore into me. He didn't look happy.
Ugh.
It's getting a good feel up there, Raen. I'm too close. Barely a second went by before a blade was pressed against my throat. I froze. What do I do? He pushed the knife against my skin, and I felt a warm, stinging sensation, followed by the feeling of something wet running down my throat. I swallowed, but my mouth felt completely dry. His eyes hadn't left mine this whole time. They were watching me, almost as if judging my every movement.
You're injured. Let me...
You think I need help from someone like you?
Oh God, I love his voice so much. So good. He smirked at me, although it was obvious that he was still in pain.
I'd die before letting a pipsqueak like you...
What was that? Mid-sentence, he started coughing abruptly. A loud, throaty cough. Now's my chance.
Gotcha!
Before I could do anything, Fawn came up beside me and knocked the blade right out of the man's hand. My hand went instantly to my throat. I was met with a wet sensation, but the cut didn't feel very deep. The stinging was only mild. So now he's got a throat wound and an arm wound. This Raen is a walking disaster. When the injured man started reaching for something else, I noticed red all over the hand he just coughed into. Wait. Something else? I grabbed both of his arms. They both felt toned and strong. He was definitely fit. Yeah, well, look at those abs. Look at them. He's definitely fit. And much stronger than me. But his injuries must have weakened him a little.
Fawn, see if he has any other weapons.
1, 2, 3, 6 other daggers. And a whip.
You're well equipped.
Yeah, he is.
Well, I was. Now I'm not equipped at all.
Really? Why don't I trust that? That's just not equipped with what they could find. I let go of his arms. He was barely fighting against me now. I peered into his face again. A long line of red trickled out of the corner of his mouth.
Which parts hurt?
Not much of a doctor. But there must be something I can do.
Which parts hurt? God, where to start?
What doesn't hurt?
My legs, my back, my stomach, my throat. But you know what hurts the most?
I looked at him eagerly, ready to try and help.
That I have to see your dumb fucking face this close up. Get away from me.
Oh, I love him so much. He smiled to himself. I guess he thinks he's really funny. I think he's really funny too, Raen. How does anyone deal with people like this? With great enthusiasm.
Excuse me. We're just trying to help you.
What's that? I'm sorry, I don't speak mouse.
Oh, sorry.
Why is he apologizing?
Don't say sorry. He's being rude to you. And you obviously need help, and we're going to give it to you, whether you like it or not.
I'd like to see you try.
Ooh. How unappreciative can you get? Why is he so opposed to help that he obviously needs? Raen Grumble isn't nearly as intimidating as Red Grumble. The other day, what I said to Fawn. Wait, what I did to Fawn. Maybe I could try that again. I don't owe this asshole anything, but wait, you don't know how bad his injuries are. He's coughing up blood. He's clearly got internal injuries. You're gonna take all that from him? If I could take away just a little bit of his pain instead of all of it. I don't know how to, but it couldn't hurt to try. It could hurt a lot. Fawn's already stripped him of his weapons, plus he's injured. So it shouldn't be too dangerous to touch him, right? Last time, all I did was touch Fawn and it happened. I reached my hand out towards him. His arm was covered in cuts and bruises.
Touch me, and see what happens to you.
Sounds like an empty threat to me. What are you gonna do?
He's struggling just to keep his eyes on me, so I doubt he'll do anything now. I ignored his words and lightly touched my fingertips to his wrist. The sound of concentration. A flash of light, booming voices. Not. His skin felt warm, but nothing happened. It worked last time.
What the hell are you?
He started to cough violently again, more blood trickling from the corner of his mouth. Any resistance he had before has gone. He didn't even shake my hand off him.
Are you okay?
Does he look
lost.
okay?
Just let us help you.
His eyes slowly narrowed before they fully closed.
Fawn, why did he close his eyes? Is he okay? What do we do?
Fawn rushed over to my side, tossing the daggers and whip to the ground. I'll pick those up later. He felt at the man's throat carefully. All I could do was watch. Wow. I don't know if you can hear that, but a flock of cockatoos just flew over the top of us, and they are very loud. Never felt so useless.
He's alive, but he's obviously pretty badly injured. We need to get him somewhere we can check and clean his wounds.
In times like this, Fawn seems like a different person. Dependable, strong, unlike me.
Why didn't it work?
Fawn looked at me for a moment, thinking.
I don't know. Maybe you just can't control it yet. Maybe it was a miracle.
Last time the voices told me to help you. This time they were silent. Anyway.
Voices say, fuck that guy. Carefully, I lifted the man onto my back. He's so much taller than me, so it's kind of awkward. Oh, the idea of Raen giving Lyris a piggyback is just phenomenal, and oh, I need to commission that. I really need to commission that.
Fawn, can you gather his belongings? We can carry him over to the river and check him out.
Yes.
Fawn scurried around, picking up the weapons that had laid discarded on the forest floor.
All right, let's get out of here.
Fawn took one last moment to stare in the direction of his destroyed house. But only one, before turning away and following after me. Okay. We will find out what happens to our grouchy redhead in the next video. This is a very long extended demo, so these videos are going to be a little double-sized than they usually are. I don't want to go much longer than that hour because I think it's just a commitment to watch that long of a video. But they'll all be uploaded in succession, so we're going to leave it here and pick up with the next one.